Okay, guys, today we're going to go over the Chapter 1 review, and what I want you guys to do is I want you to make sure you have all of your homework out, all of your worksheets, every one of your bookwork assignments, and all of your quizzes need to be passed out to you also. Now, at this point, I'm going to go over your review, and this review should be handed out to you now, and you should have it in front of you. And what I want to talk to you about is going to be each section. So if I quickly look at your lovely review, this is what we have. Section 2, we have our multiple choice, match the following properties with the statement, classify, compare. Section 3, I'm showing you what you need to go and do over there. Section 4, there's 3 parts. Section 4 is part 1 is solve for variables. Part 2 is going to be getting rid of the fractions. You do not need to combine like terms, just get rid of all your fractions, parentheses, or decimals. And part 3 is going to be solve those fractional equations. Part 5 is the inequalities. Part 6 is the absolute values, and those are part 1 and part 2 also. So this is your worksheet, and what we're going to do is I need you to have this out in front of you because I need you to look at the matching section right here because on my notes today I do not have any of those properties labeled. What you need to do is you need to match those up with me. So I'm going to go straight to the notes. Some of these are all examples, okay? So what we're going to go ahead and start with is we're going to start with be sure you know all your properties. This will take you memorizing them. Now, if you get out your lovely little review sheet, I want you to start partnering up these. So what's AB is equal to BA? What property is that? Well, did the order stay the same or did the order change? The order changed, so therefore it's going to be the commutative property. And how are they attached? They're attached by multiplication. So that is going to be letter D. So with that said, I'm going to get my pen up here. Okay, I'm going to get my pen here and I'm going to start writing these down. So this is going to be letter D. Now the next one, K, parenthesis 3A, 3 plus 9 is equal to 3K plus 9K. Well, how do we go from K to 3K? Well, if you're wondering, this should be the distributive property, so that's going to be letter E. The next one is going to be 15A minus 5B is equal to negative 5B plus 15A. Did the order stay the same or did the order change? The order changed, so therefore their commutative property, and how are they attached? By addition, so therefore that is going to be letter C. Now, 14, did the order stay the same or did it change? It stayed the same. I should say it changed, I apologize. So therefore this is going to be commutative property again of addition, so that's letter C. Now look at 15. 5 plus 4z plus 3 equals 3 plus 5 plus 4z. Again, did the order stay the same or change? What changed here? If I say, did it stay the same? 5, 4z, 3. 3, 5, 4z. And you can see my pen as I'm saying those, okay? Did the order stay the same across there? The order did not, so therefore it changed, and this is going to be, again, the commutative property. 16. X plus 6 is a real number. Well, what property deals with is a real number? This is going to be J for closure. Number 17, 3BZ, 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 3BZ. Did the order stay the same or did the order move? The order stayed the same, so therefore this is the associative property. How are they attached? By multiplication, so this is B. 18, if X and Y are integers, then X and Y is an integer. Well, this is the only one that has words in it, so this has to be J closure, okay? 19, 6b plus 9c plus 11e, 6b plus 9c plus 11e. Did the order stay the same or change? It stayed the same, so therefore this is going to be the associative property of addition. Number 20, 1 times c plus d is equal to c plus d. Well, this is going to be either the identity, sorry, my pen, or it's going to be the inverse. So my question to you is, does it equal 1 or does it equal itself? And it equals itself, so therefore it's getting its identity back, so therefore it's the identity property, not the inverse. And now, since it's the identity, we are going to say that that is going to be what? Multiplicative identity or addition identity? It's going to be multiplicative, so that's going to be G. And number 21 is exactly the same as 20, so therefore it's also going to be G. Now, I did not go over all the properties here. This is something you guys need to remember and memorize, so that's going to be something you guys have to work on. That is the properties. Know them. They're going to be on the test, okay? The next slide. What type? That's supposed to be type, sorry. Correct that now. What type of number does this represent? Real, rational, irrational, integer, or natural? Well, the answer to that is going to be, how do we do this? Well, you need to say the price P for a shirt at the mall that is 25% off. Well, what type of a price would a shirt be? Well, let's say it's $12.50. Okay, well, again, if it's $12.50, can you tell me what type of a number is that? Is it a whole number? Is it a fraction? Is it a decimal? And what type of numbers do those represent? Well, this is whenever we had the Mama family. Here it is, the real number, and then we had it look like this, and then we had some boxes inside here. Well, you need to figure out which one that is. This is going to be a fraction, so therefore what number system represents a fraction? That is going to be the rational number system. The rational number system is that letter Q, the bold-faced Q. Okay? Again, that is going to be like problems on your review worksheet, problems 14. So now going on to problem 15. Compare using the square root concept the two numbers. Now this is whenever I said you're going to have the square root of 1 is 1, the square root of 4 is 2, 3 is going to be the square root of 9, 4 is going to be the square root of 16, 5 is going to be the square root of 25. Then 6 is going to be the square root of 36. So that tells me that 26 is going to be in between 25 and 36, which means which one is it closer to? It's closer to 5, so therefore this thing, the square root of 26, is approximately equal to 5. So 5 compared to 4.7 is what? Well, 5 is going to be greater than, which would imply that the square root of 26 is greater than 4.7. Now, on your quiz, many of you used the calculator and got the decimal equivalent of this and never one time listened to the instructions where it says justify your answers. Well, if you look at the review sheet, I was very clear that I said compare the two numbers, use less than or greater than, justify your reasoning by using estimates of square roots. That's exactly what I have just shown you right here. Okay? So please, please, please make sure that you are looking at this stuff and justifying and comparing and showing me this stuff right here, or else you're going to get it wrong. The next section we're going to talk about is going to be section 3. Section 3 is going to be write an expression for the following. Joe pays $20 in gas weekly plus $35 a week for insurance. So how can I write an expression for this? Well, the expression is going to be he pays $20 in gas weekly. So what do I not know? I don't know how many weeks he goes. Okay? So that's, let's say there's 4 weeks, so we're going to have $20 times W plus $35 a month. Plus $35 a week for insurance, sorry. This can be your lovely little expression. And obviously this is not worded the most greatest way in the world, however you get the idea of what you need to be looking for. Okay? Now, evaluate the following. If you look at the worksheet for tonight, this is like problem number 17. So evaluate the following. C times 3 minus A minus C squared. I give you A is 4 and C is negative 1. And you're going to plug in what you know. So what I know is going to be that C is negative 1. 3A is going to be 4 minus C squared, and that's going to be negative 1 squared. Please put parentheses around the negative 1. So that's going to give me negative 1. 3 minus 4 is going to be negative 1. Minus 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. Minus 1 is 0. Now, I guarantee I'm going to get somebody on this because you're not going to do order of operations correctly, and this is all this is. This is an order of operations problem. Plug and chug and make sure you know what you're doing. Okay, the next thing you need to know about, and this is going to be like problems 18 and 19 on the review sheet, is going to be simplify the following. So, again, remember I talked about the mom brackets and the baby parentheses. Mamas always take care of their babies, so what do I need to do? I need to get rid of unneeded parentheses. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, do I need the brackets? Am I distributing anything into them? And the answer to that is yes. So I keep the negative. And the 4x hangs out. Do I need the parentheses around the negative 3y? The answer to that is no. The parentheses are there to throw you off and make you realize that that is just a negative value. Do I need the parentheses around the negative 5 plus x? Yes, I do, and more importantly, this negative 2y is going to be distributed into that, so I'm going to bring that out in front. So negative 2y without parentheses, and then parentheses around the negative 5 plus x. See, this already looks much better, because now what I have is two problems with the distributive property here. So I'm going to immediately distribute that negative, so that gives me negative 4x plus 3y plus 10y minus 2xy. Do I have any like terms? Well, my like terms are going to be right here in the middle. And that's going to give me negative 4x plus 13y minus 2xy. That is going to be your final answer. Now, you have several of these on tonight's worksheet. You have two of them where you have to actually simplify them. And yes, there's a fraction, but how do we do that? You simply put the 6 over 1 and the 9 over 1, marry the tops and marry the bottoms. Now, moving right along, going to the next problem here. Section 4, this is the variable equations, solve for x. This is directly off of your worksheet, and I believe this is problem number 21. So if this is problem number 21, how do I go about solving this? Well, immediately what you're going to see is you have a fraction equaling a fraction. So if I have a fraction equaling a fraction, what do? I'm simply going to put parentheses around each one of the numerators. Why? Because this is the head, this is the body, this is the head, and this is the body of it's something else. So you have to keep those together. So with that said, I'm going to immediately cross multiply. So I'm going to be left with cx times a plus 2 is equal to x times b minus 5. Now, I'm solving for x. So since I'm solving for x, what I need to do is distribute the x's. So this is going to give you a cx plus 2cx is equal to bx minus 5x. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to bring everything over to the other side. And we are going to subtract bx and add 5x. So subtract bx and add 5x. This is an ugly problem already. Sorry about that. acx plus 2cx minus bx plus 5x is equal to 0. And what we're going to do is we're going to factor out an x. So if I pull out an x, I'm going to be left with ac out of this term. Out of this one, I'm going to be left with 2c. Out of this one, I'm going to be left with minus b. And out of this one, I'm going to be left with plus 5 is equal to 0. Now, if I'm solving this thing for x, this is all attached by multiplication. So I'm going to divide all of this by ac plus 2c minus b plus 5 on both sides. That is gone, and I'm left with x is equal to 0 divided by this junk. Now, this is not a nice problem, because what I have going on here is I have a 0, and anytime you divide by 0, what is the outcome? 0 divided by anything is always and forever 0. So I've actually solved this. It's actually a numerical answer. Now, technically, is it going to come out like that on your quiz tomorrow? No, and we already know all of these are not. I just wanted to shake things up a little bit and show you how to cross multiply and pull everything out and make sure you've got the distributive property and factoring out completely. If you don't understand this example, it's not going to be like this on the test tomorrow, but you do need to know something like this to all the other equations. Okay? The next thing you need to know is section 4, eliminating fractions and equations. Now, what did I talk about whenever you have fractions inside equations? We want to get rid of it by simply multiplying by the LCD. But what we have going on here is we have a problem because we have a fraction inside each one of the parentheses. So what we're going to do is we are going to simply get rid of that fraction by multiplying and distributing the 1/3. So I'm going to have 1/3 x minus, marry the tops, marry the bottoms, 1, 3 times 2 is 6, minus 1/4 x plus, why is it a plus? Because I have a minus and a minus to make a positive. 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 3 is 12, is equal to 1/3. Now, I'm going to find the highest denominator down here, which is going to be a 12, and I'm going to start doing my multiplication tables of that. Well, that's going to be 12, 24, 36, 48, and what's the first one that all of them go into? Well, the first one that all denominators go into is going to be 12. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply that denominator, the entire thing, by 12. So when you multiply by 12 and you have fractions, what you're actually doing is division. So 12 divided by 3 gives you a 4x. 12 divided by 6 gives you a 2. 12 divided by 4 gives you a 3, and bring down the x. 12 divided by 12 gives me a 1, and bring down the 1. 12 divided by 3 equals, 12 divided by 3 is equal to 4. This is all you have to do to eliminate the fractions. You're going to have several of those like that also on the quiz. Okay? That brings us all the way down to problems number 24 and 25, and that was actually 24 on your review sheet tonight. The next one you need to talk about is solving fractional equations, but this time I give you decimals. So how do I go about doing this? Well, I'm going to use the place value system, and 6 is in the lovely little 10 spot. So since it's in the 10 spot, that's going to be 6/10 x plus 4/10 is times 100 minus x is equal to 50. Well, what does 6/10 reduce down to? Well, they're both even, so 6 divided by 2 is going to be 3. 10 divided by 2 is going to be 5x. Oopsie, sorry about that. 3/5 x plus 2/5 times 100 minus x is equal to 50. Now again, what is your LCD here? Your LCD is going to be 5. So if we multiply everything by 5, that is our only denominator, is 5 and 5 here. So we multiply that by 5. 5 divided by 5 is going to be 1, bring down the 3x. 5 divided by 5 is going to be 1, bring down the 2 times the 100 minus x is equal to, across the equal sign, 5 times 5 gives me 25, tack on the 0. And you can distribute here, 200 minus 2x is equal to 250. Combine like terms, x plus 200 is equal to 250. Subtract the 200, and x is equal to 50. We have done this problem several times in class, so therefore you guys have seen this 3 times. You should be able to do this with your eyes closed. That's section 4. That brings us to the next section, which is going to be section 5. So in section 5, we're solving inequalities. Now, the question I have for you is whenever you're solving an OR inequality, what do the graphs look like? Do they overlap, or do they go in opposite directions? Since it is an OR, we know that they're going to go in opposite directions, so I just simply need to solve each one of these. So I'm going to add x to both sides here. That's going to be gone. I'm left with 3x is greater than 3. Divide by 3, and x is greater than 1. Or, over here, I'm going to subtract x from both sides, and I'm going to get x is less than negative 3. So I need to put these on one number line. So how do I go about doing that? I graph my smallest one. Here's negative 3. It is going to be open, and I shade to the left. And I'm actually going to erase these ones because I already said I only need one number line. And then I'm going to put 1 over here, and it's open, and I'm going to shade that one to the right. And I'm going to be super duper picky, just like Math Excel was. How do I write this thing? And understanding that I need to go from left to right. So if I'm going from left to right, I need to first describe this region. This region is going to be x is less than negative 3. Or, then I need to describe this region, x is greater than 1. So here is your answer. And that's your inequality section. The next thing we need to talk about are absolute values. And this is a section we just took the quiz over. Now I want you guys to first look at this thing and isolate your absolute value. So if I'm isolating my absolute value, okay, what do I need you to do? It's already isolated, so I need to ask you next, is this even possible? Well, this absolute value will always and forever be positive, and it's supposed to equal a negative. Is that ever possible? No. So therefore, the answer to this is no solution. Guarantee you're going to have something like that. Next, This is the extraneous solution kind. Why is this an extraneous solution? Because I have variables on both sides, and since I don't know what x is, I have no idea. I know that this is a positive times a positive, but I have no idea if this is positive or if it's negative, because I don't know what x represents. So since I don't know what x represents, I simply have to do the math. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do case 1 and I'm going to do case 2. Before I do that, I'm going to isolate my absolute value. So that means I'm going to take and I'm going to divide this side and each term on my right-hand side by 3. And how can I do that? Because 9 is divisible by 3 and 6 is divisible by 3. So at this point, I'm going to have, that's gone, 2x plus 5, the absolute value, is equal to 9 divided by 3 is 3x. 6 divided by 3 is going to be minus 2. So now I'm going to have case 1. 2x plus 5 is equal to 3x minus 2. And then case 2, negative out in front of 2x plus 5 is equal to 3x minus 2. So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to solve this. I'm going to subtract the 2x. 5 is equal to x minus 2. Add the 2. And I'm going to get 7 is equal to x. There's that one. Come back over here, distribute. 2x minus 5 is equal to 3x minus 2. Add the 2x. Minus 5 is equal to 5x minus 2. Add the 2. Negative 3 is equal to 5x. Divide by 5. Negative 3/5 is equal to x. And you get your answer. Now I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. And I'm going to show you exactly how to use the calculator. Now I'm going to get a calculator page up here, and I'm actually going to plug that in exactly the way I see it. So my original equation is this right here, and my answers that I got is going to be I'm going to plug it in exactly the way I see it. My first answer was 7, so I'm going to type in 3 absolute value, hit this key right here, get my absolute value, and that was going to be 2 times 7 plus 5, arrow to the right to get out of there, is equal to 9 times 7 minus 6, and hit enter. And this is going to be a true statement, so since that's a true statement, this is going to be an answer, and we like that. So I know x equals 7 is an answer. Now I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to arrow up and I'm going to grab the next one here and hit enter. And I'm going to cheat. And I'm going to backspace to where that 7 is. And I'm going to delete that and I'm going to hit Control division key and I'm going to type in negative 3 over 5. Negative 3 over 5, and I come over here and I'm going to delete that. I'm going to do my little division key again. Negative 3 over 5. I don't know why it wants to do my answer every time. Just bear with me a second. And hit enter. And it's going to say that this one right here, whenever I plug in negative 3/5, that's a false answer. So since that's a false answer, this one is not going to give me an answer. That's an extraneous solution, and the only answer that I have is going to be x equals 7. That is my solution. Yes, I know I didn't show you that for your other quizzes and tests, but now for those people who actually watched the video today, you have something that other people did not. So if I were you, I would gloat a little bit. So now we know how to check our extraneous solutions on the calculator, and I know that the only answer that I'm going to have is going to be the little x equals 7. Now if I come over here, I'm going to have absolute value inequalities. So again, step 1, I'm going to do what? I am going to isolate the absolute value. So if I'm going to isolate the absolute value, what that means is I need to get rid of that 15. So how do I get rid of that 15? I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. So that's going to give me the absolute value of 3z minus 2 is greater than a negative 6. Now, is it possible? Can a positive be greater than a negative? The answer to that is yes. However, I want to talk about is what if I would have had 3z minus 2 is less than negative 6? Can a positive be less than a negative? The answer to that is no, it cannot. So that's no solution on here. But let's go back to this concept right here. Is a positive greater than a negative? Well, yes, a positive is always greater than a negative, so do I actually have to do any work? Is there any number that z can be that's going to make this a false statement? This is always a true statement no matter what you do, so therefore the answer to this is going to be x's and m of the reals, meaning it's any number. Any number will make this statement a true statement. So there's no work to show here. You simply need to say, yeah, a positive is always greater than a negative, and because of that, it doesn't matter what x is or z is in this case, it's going to be all positive numbers. That was a tricky one. This was an example off of Math Excel that I wanted to make sure I covered. I had a question from a student previously about that, so I wanted to make sure I covered that. Now, the last one I want to talk about is going to be 4b minus 3 is greater than 9. So how do I do something like this? I'm going to isolate my absolute value, so this is that right there. And I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And as I do that, I'm going to get that 4b, the absolute value of that, is greater than 12. So then, is this possible? Well, can a positive be greater than a positive? Sure can. So therefore, I'm going to do case 1, which is 4b is greater than 12. And then I'm going to do case 2, which is negative 4b is greater than 12. So this is going to be divided by 4, b is greater than 3, divide by negative 4, divide by negative 4. B is now less than negative 3. Why did I flip that sign? I flipped that sign because I divided by a negative, so now I need to have 3 number lines. My smallest number is negative 3, is open, and I shade it down to the left. 3 is going to be the next one. It's open. I shade to the right. Is this an and or an or, people? This is going to be an or because they're going in opposite directions. So therefore, what we're going to have is I need to describe this from left to right. I describe this region first, and that's going to say x is less than negative 3, or describe this region second, x is greater than 3. And there is your absolute value inequality. There's no checking on inequalities that are absolute value. You only check your answers whenever you are doing equations such as this example right here. Now, I've talked about every possible type that we could have on the quiz. Does that mean this is the only type that you can have? If you look at the worksheet, I've covered a great deal of everything that you're going to see on here, but that doesn't mean these are the only possibilities. Okay, so you need to look at every homework assignment that I gave you, every worksheet that I gave you, every quick quiz that I gave you, and every paper quiz that I gave you. All of those are possibilities. In addition to that, what else is a possibility is going to be your lovely little chapter reviews from the textbook. Chapter tests from the textbook, and also any problems from the textbook. So please watch. This is all from your text, okay? So please make sure you study for the test. I understand I'm not there today, but you guys need to make sure that you listen to this video and go ahead and answer the questions that I've posted, okay? Have a great day.